Hello, hello. I'm Casey,
And I'm Fallon.
and this is Render
Under
the
the stars. Yeah.
Darkness. You'd think slowing it down would help. Didn't.
Not at all.
Oh my god, your face just got stuck like that for a second on my computer. It was hilarious. You said- oh, anyways. All right, today we are in Idaho.
Idaho.
Talking potatoes, y'all.
Potato, scoop skis, potato.
Ah, Jogaro.
Yeah.
Why did you bring that up? Now I'm sad.
I'm sorry. It's just, you said Idaho and then we said potatoes and it just
Yeah, I know, but
popped in my head. So,
Tui. I had tickets to go see him this year and I was really excited about it, and then he canceled his whole tour, so which obviously I understand why, but still
yeah.
bummed that I had to miss it.
Yeah.
So back to Idaho. Scoop ski potatoes. Today we're going to be talking about the cryptids out of Idaho. Well, like a few of them. I only picked like 3 or 4. But there's actually a lot. I was really surprised at how many cryptids Idaho had. I have no idea how many Ohio has. We haven't made it to that state.
I was going to say you've kind of skipped ahead there.
It'll probably be an alarmingly large amount, and it'll probably be my turn to do the cryptids. I've noticed that's how this is kind of lining out. Anytime that the state falls on it being me in charge of the cryptids or the haunties or whatever, like there's like a shit ton out of that state. And it's always the states that I'm like, oh, that's a small state. It's not going to have a lot. No, it's like all the small states have all of the shit compacted into them,
Yeah.
which is rad because it gives me a lot of material.
Yeah.
But it's shocking as well. I always look at it and I go, how? Why? When? And then I read and I find out all the answers.
Yeah.
So before we get a rolling into this case that I'm probably going to mispronounce some words in, we're going to give us the fun fact. Studies show that 1 out of every 18 people have a third nipple.
Okay.
Mark Wahlberg has a third nipple, doesn't he?
I have no idea. Does he?
Pretty sure.
I'm going to have to Google that.
I'm pretty sure he does. I could be dead wrong, but see my Princess Peach. Princess Peach.
Oh.
It's a me, a Mario.
Yes. It's funny because I was Googling it. I was like, does Mark Wahlberg? And that was number 2.
Have a third nipple.
Like, okay. Oh, that's great.
All right. So now we've gotten my little fun fact out of the way. Let's get into some cryptids. We're going to start with number 1, which is Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie. Sharlie. So Charlie, but with an S. So Charlie.
Okay.
That's fun to say. Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie, also known as Slammy Slim, or the Twilight Dragon of Payot Lake, or Payot Lake, one of the two. I'm going to mispronounce words here.
Twilight Dragon. So I like that one, Twilight Dragon. I didn't like that second one.
You didn't like Slimy Slim?
No.
Well, the Twilight Dragon was the second one, just so you know.
What?
Well, I guess technically it was the third, because Charlie, and then Slimy Slim, and then, okay, you're right. My bad. Okay, so this is kind of like Idaho's own version of the Loch Ness Monster. It's believed to have there's really not a lot of information on it, to be honest. But it's believed to have originated from the original inhabitants of the West. You okay?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just thought I heard something really weird outside.
You getting scared? Idaho's freaking you out here? Charlie's freaking you out?
Well, if I had a lake back here, maybe.
Well, as much as it's been raining for the last 2 freaking months, I'm surprised you don't have a lake back there.
True.
But it's believed to have originated from the original inhabitants of the Western settlement, which is the Native Americans, who thought that an evil spirit lived in the lake. The first reports go all the way back to 1920.
Ooh.
It was reported again by several groups of people in 1944, and they claimed that the creature was between 30 to 35 feet long with humps and shell like skin. They said it looked like a dinosaur.
Ooh, that's cool.
I thought so. It was reported again in late 1946 by a group of around 20 people, and it was reported again in 1956, 1961, 1971, 1985, 1986, and it was last reported in 1997. But the
Mm,
tales of the monster are still very much alive, and people are warned about it before entering the lake still to this day.
cool.
This
Shut
next one, I am 1000% guaranteeing you I'm going to mess it up. So I'm only going to say it once.
away.
Okay? Cure de Alain Fishwoman.
I'm sorry, what?
Cured. I said I'm only saying it one time, Fallon.
You about did it.
I almost did it.
Mm.
So
Ah.
I know I said that wrong. So, it's the fish woman.
Okay, well, it sounded good.
Did it? Did I roll that right off my tongue?
Yeah, it sounded pretty good.
See, you're inspiring me to say it again
Say it again.
because now I feel confident, even though I know somebody is going to message and correct me because I'm from Arkansas and I don't know how to pronounce these French ass looking words. Coeurd apostrophe Aline Fishwoman. Where the Aline Fishwoman. That's what I'm going with. It's the last time saying it.
Okay.
Anyway, for many years, native tribes told of water mysteries. One specific mystery is that of a creature described as a half woman, half fish. The lake is said to be haunted, and it's been speculated that it's been haunted for a really long time. There's a specific area of the lake that the fish woman is most often reported to have been seen in, and that is near a large pointed rock that sticks straight out of the water.
Okay.
People report her to be looking out over the water when they see her, and some believe that she's watching over the lake, or maybe she's observing people and like their activities around the shoreline to make sure they're not messing up the lake or something.
Mm.
As for actual interactions with her, people claim to feel sudden gusts of wind and hear unexplainable noises, most often right before seeing her.
Mm.
And the fishwoman isn't the only myth associated with this lake. There's also reports of a large horned creature. It's reported to lift boats right out of the water.
Ooh.
This creature hasn't been cited nearly as much as the fishwoman, but it has been reported nonetheless. And between the reports of the disembodied voices and the weird feelings that people reportedly get, it leaves the lake harboring a feeling of unease that locals say you can still feel to this day, especially if you're alone.
I wonder if the horned creature is her pet.
My first thought when I was like, okay, so my brain takes me down these rabbit holes when I do these kinds of cases. So my first thought was, okay, what's the difference between a fish woman and a mermaid? Because, like, isn't that what a mermaid is? Isn't that like half woman, half fish?
Mm. Yeah. See, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, it's kind of like a mermaid, but I was like, well, I mean, I don't know.
But like, I don't know how much was woman and how much was fish, because like a mermaid is like half and half, right? It's like an even cut,
Yeah, I think so.
right? Because like the fin part starts around the hip area, which is like halfway mark of the body.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the fish woman was fish and how much it was woman, but that's all I kept thinking was like, so she's a mermaid.
Yeah.
And it didn't say, like, I read so many freaking, like, articles and stuff about it, and nowhere does it say that she's aggressive in any way or she's ever caused anybody harm or like she even seems like her intentions are negative in any way at all. She just kind of seems to be chilling at the lake.
Just hanging out, enjoying the view.
You know, like Ariel in The Little Mermaid when she comes out. She like goes on the rug. She's like, ah, or whatever she does. You know what I mean? Just singing. Was that close?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Cannibal dwarves of the, I'm definitely going to say this wrong, Awahis?
Awahi?
Yeah, that. All right, so tracing back again to the time of when the Indian tribes inhabited the West, they believed or they had a legend about creatures living in the area. This particular legend comes out of Bannock and Shoshone legend, which is two different Indian tribes. They claimed that there was a race of cannibal dwarves living in the mountains. They called them, and I'm definitely going to mispronounce this one too, they called them the Ninanimber.
The Ninanimber?
Uh-huh.
Ninanimber. Okay.
According to legend, they're around 2 feet tall and no, not not They're around 2 feet tall and bizarrely strong, like capable of carrying deer or elk on their back, which really seems impossible given their height. But
yeah.
you know, I've heard stranger things, but when I was reading it, I was like, how would that even like work?
I guess they'd have to drag it.
But it
And
says
maybe put like a horn here and a horn here, and then just. Well, yeah, it would be like laying on their back.
like what do they do? Just pick up the legs and throw it over their shoulders, and they're
That
2
or
feet tall. They wouldn't even get anything off the ground.
Well, I mean, like if they took the head, like like if it was if it was a buck, so they could like put their arm through through the horns. But if it was a doe, then yeah, they may have to just like put the legs over their neck and just.
Very, very strange visual that provided when I was trying to do this case. So, anyway, it's also said that they had tails.
Oh.
Yeah, you'd think, oh, it's not really. The men ran around naked, and the women wore the skin of the animals that they killed. So, super creepy, creepy little tiny things. Legend says if the dwarves got close to an Indian camp, they would steal the babies and eat them.
Oh.
Afterward, yeah. You want to recap a couple minutes ago when you're like 2 feet tall, adorable tails, the cutest. You want to recap those moments? No, we're gonna keep going. All right. So,
I didn't know this before.
That's why I kept saying like no.
I just thought, I'm not gonna go there. But anyway.
All right. So after they would do that, the dwarves would then mimic the sound of the baby crying, and once the mom went looking, the dwarves would kill her and eat her too.
That's all I'm gonna say.
They would also use their tails, their little adorable tails, as a way to sneak into the groups of kids that would play in the camps, and they would then run off with the children. And reportedly, they also had a group of cousins called the Pohana that lived in creeks. So these poor people were getting little dwarves from the mountains and little dwarves from the creeks.
Oh, that's sad.
I know. I don't know if the cousins ate babies or women or whatever. I don't know if they were as aggressive or cannibalistic. But I can't imagine the apple didn't fall far from the tiny tree.
Maybe.
But it was also reported that the dwarves never went after men, probably because they knew that they couldn't take them. That's my guess.
They like super duper strong?
Well, Yeah, that's true, but they're super, super strong when it comes to carrying dead things. I don't know if they're super, super strong when it comes to going up against completely live, way taller, way stronger things.
Mm. True.
Like that was just tactical survival skills right there.
Mm.
Which, okay, I don't want to say what I was about to say. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but then I immediately was like, "No, Casey."
Probably.
If I stopped myself from saying it, it was bad. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as of today, there's never been any proof as to whether these dwarves ever actually existed or not. But the legend and the awareness of the legend are still very much alive.
Hmm.
All right. So mind your babies and your women's. All right, so the very last one we're going to talk about, which I am also going to probably say wrong, is the pinned Orel paddler. This legend comes out of North Idaho, more specifically, Lake Penn Orel. This legend is a little touchy. It's kind of questioned a lot more than most. Many people believe there are many different explanations for this one, um, other than it being a monster in the water,
Hmm.
which is what is indicated that like that's what the legend says, that there's a monster in the water, but this one's pretty heavily debated, I
Okay.
will say. um so for the case, we're going to stick with the idea that there's a monster in the water.
Okay.
So first, the monster was reported in 1944, and it was reported that there were odd shapes underneath the water that were very large in size. Now, at the time, many thought it was possible it was just like submarines under the water because there was a naval training center right there, and like the war and all that stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And the training center was located near the lake. Now, I'm not really sure how that was speculated at the time because it was supposed to be like secret trainings going on. Like people weren't supposed to know that that was happening. So,
Hmm.
not sure about that part. But in the 1970s, the idea that there may have been something more than submarines under the water really started to kind of gain legs. In the late 70s, a young girl came forward and claimed to have survived a monster attack while playing at the Sandpoint City beach.
Ooh.
This is when reporters started referring to the monster as the quote Pin Orel paddler, end quote.
Hmm.
And in 1983, Professor James R. McLeod and a team set off to the lake to look into this monster, even though he was able to say that the tabloid photo that he had seen, which is what had inspired him to go investigate it in the first place, was for sure a hoax. He did say he believed that it's very much possible that the monster, quote unquote, might be a deep lake level water like fish. I don't know why I said it that way because I just wrote it as deep water fish. I could have just said that. In case you didn't know what deep water meant, it means it's a deep level of water.
Ah.
Anyway, so he proposed it might be like a prehistoric sturgeon.
Okay.
And Julie Green, who was a local teacher, would claim to have seen something that she referred to as a quote, gunmetal gray object, unquote. So, and she said that she saw that not far from her boat, and that was in 1985. And it was actually on Memorial Day. And the last reported sighting was in 2007 when supposedly a picture was taken of it and it was sent to the Crypto Mundi site.
Ooh.
And this cryptid gets mentioned in James R. McLeod's book, which is Mysterious Lake Pinned Orel and its Monster Fact or Folklore. And I will say that people have caught record breaking massive fish from this lake. So the idea that it's some kind of a giant undiscovered fish of some type, it's not that far fetched.
Hmm.
But I will also say that there's another pretty interesting theory for you conspiracy theorists out there, aka my husband. Um, And in this theory, it's proposed that the U.S. Navy may have used the idea of creating a monster as a way to cover up some kind of top secret testing they were doing in the lake way back in the 40s. So if that's true, and I believe that it could be,
Yeah.
there either was never an actual monster at all, but rather an illusion that they were like trying to create, or if you're really out of the box thinking about this kind of thing, like my husband would be, maybe they tapped into Area 51 and released some kind of monster into the lake to distract people from what they were actually doing.
Maybe.
What do you think?
Interesting. I don't know.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
And that's my Idaho cryptids. I didn't even come close to touching the surface of cryptids that Idaho has. So I'm definitely going to have to come back to this state and do more. I just tried to keep it short because I know that's what we're kind of trying to do with the 50 state thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was
But man,
definitely interesting.
I could have easily done 2 parts on Idaho cryptids. Like there's so many, and I will attach a link that has the bulk of them attached to it. So if you're interested in learning more about the cryptids or what other cryptids they have, there'll be a link attached where you're able to do that.
Oh, cool. Am I allowed to look?
Oh, I don't care. Just don't read about it. Look at the names and then move on with your life.
Well, what if I find one that seems very interesting? I mean, by the time you get to it, I'll probably forget.
All right, well, you get 2, and you have to tell me which 2 it is, so I don't include it in my next case, because I want you to be riding this wave with the listeners.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But yeah, that was my Idaho cryptids.
That's pretty cool. Interesting stuff from the Idaho.
I was really surprised at the amount of words I couldn't pronounce.
I was too.
Oh,
Which I guess there's probably like a lot of Native American land and stuff out there.
I would imagine, yeah. I've never personally been to Idaho, but I imagine there's a lot of land that was.
Mm.
But anyway, thanks for
That's
hanging
really
out.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you for telling us all about some of the cryptids from the Idaho.
You're
That
very
was
welcome.
very interesting.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope that anybody who is watching and listening enjoyed it as well. And this case should be coming out. What is tomorrow? Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday.
So hopefully we'll see you guys then. Other than that, if you like what we're doing, you enjoy our videos, give us a like, a share, a follow, subscribe. We'd appreciate you. Till next time, I guess. Bye, Fallon.
Bye.
Bye, listeners and watchers.